Hello everybody, welcome to the Charlie West Wrestling Show, the show where we get together and we talk about wrestling. We talk about the things that we like, the things that maybe we don't like sometimes, and decide how do we feel about certain things. This could be in a list, a short conversation, many. Today, we're doing another top 10 list.
Let's do it.
And Tom, this is
a positive one. It's a positive top 10
It is a positive one. I'm Charlie West, this is
I'm
Tom.
Thomas.
Yep, he's here to help me with this list, and we're doing the top 10 wrestling themes.
I like it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think compared to some lists, there are some lists where I'm thinking, how do I squeeze a number 8, 9, or 10 onto the list? This, it's how do I cut it down to 20, let alone 10?
I had a problem trying to just pick only 10.
Yeah.
Just trying to find only 10 wrestling themes that I really enjoy.
Yeah. And there's going to be things where I think even with 10, 10 and honorable mentions, there's going to be stuff that's so obviously fantastic that's not even going to
It's going to get missed out. There's going to be some songs and some wrestlers getting missed out on here.
I mean, did you have any particular ethos of how you were choosing things? I know for me, I was thinking I wanted stuff where the theme is directly connected to that wrestler. So things where they've taken famous songs, for example, something like "Rollin' by the Undertaker." Mm-hmm. Whether you think that's a great theme or not a great theme, that wasn't an Undertaker theme. That was something they put.
Yeah,
with
that was
the
a
Undertaker.
Biscuit song that they put with the Undertaker.
So stuff like that, I've kind of not.
Mine was kind of what gave me the strongest emotional response.
Right.
When I'm watching a wrestling show, what music hits and just triggers that, yes, I'm excited to see this person coming out. I'm excited to see this fight that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I agree. That thing of connecting it to the wrestler immediately. I think everyone on my list here, if we played 3 seconds of these intros, you would know every wrestler on this list.
I
with
probably
3
would.
seconds.
I probably would.
Because there are some, especially in New Japan, there are stuff where you just hear the themes and someone says, this is a great one. I'm yeah, that's a fantastic piece of music. That's really cool. I'd love to hear that in a video game or something. But it doesn't make me feel wow, some guy has turned up. It's just, that's a really cool theme.
Right, and you'll see with my list, I wanted to get a kind of I tried to cast a wide net.
Right.
But when I got down to the cutting, I ended up having to cut a lot of stuff.
Yes. Which I think is fair. I have the same. I have people that didn't even make the honorable mentions that I thought were definite top 10s.
Same.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by, I'm going to reveal number 10, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then Tom will reveal his number 10, and so forth. If I reveal a song at number 9 that Tom has at, say, number 4, don't give that away at this point. Mm-hmm. We'll just talk about it, and then later on you can say, I've doubled up here. So with that all said, also, I want to say that the wrestlers here, the themes, makes no impact on my opinion of the wrestler. A lot of these people are wrestlers I think are great, but it doesn't mean that I love the wrestler, so I love the theme. That's not...
I kind of went the same way.
Yeah. So, my number 10 is one of the newest ones that I have here, and it is Bobby Roode, Glorious.
That is a pretty good one.
Yeah, I just feel that one... I mean, the reason why it's not higher is because Bobby Roode isn't really any... he is literally a theme song.
That's kind of his gimmick. Is just he has an amazing entrance, and then they don't let him talk or anything else. He gets a glorious entrance.
Yes,
and then meh.
Yeah, and that entrance has been also watered down. I think when he did his first NXT debut, when he came off the pedestal and came
when he was doing the takeovers, all of his glorious entrances were just they were a show.
Yeah,
rotating pedestals, being lowered down on a podium or something. They were always way over the top and really fit his character.
And that's why it's 10 for me. Because if this guy was winning world titles and being fun, even though I said the wrestler doesn't matter, if this guy was winning world titles, so he was getting WrestleMania type, coming down from the rafters as choirs are singing Glorious at each side, you'd be wow, that's incredible. In the same way that someone like Killer Cross, his entrance theme seemed fantastic until you heard it on Raw without Smoke and without Scarlett, and you're it's actually just an okay theme. It just had a fantastic aesthetic to it.
It's all about the presentation of the theme.
So Bobby Roode's my number 10.
Your number 10. My number 10 is Christian. At Last.
At Last. Is that the one?
No, that's the second one. At Last is the one after he left the Brood.
Okay.
In the early 90s. And this is when I first started watching wrestling. And I remember it being one of the first entrances I can vividly remember of Christian walking out Christian, at last.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, right.
And I think it was just one of those songs that like fit the character really well.
Is that when he was with Bischoff?
I don't think that was when he was with Bischoff.
That was before then?
I think that was before then. Because it was still like Attitude Era. This was like 98, 99 when he had that theme.
Okay, because I remember that theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always been one of my favorite themes. Like, it's like... I've always really liked it. Yeah. And the presentation with it was that he would come out and then it would have like the wall of pyro coming down.
Right.
And I always thought, like, when he came out to that music, it was just like, oh man, that song's such a banger. Like, I just, like, the beat is hard, and then it like has like that hard beat, and then it goes into like that kind of like, I don't know if it's like Latin or Italian style of singing, and then da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, and it would drop back down to it. So I've always been a real fan of like that music that goes from like hard rock, metal, and then all of a sudden vocal range and like, you know, opera style, and then back down the metal, like rock and roll. I've always liked that kind of like shift.
I think that's fair. I mean, to be fair, I think a lot of Brood members have had some good themes over the past. So,
I think that can be said.
Yes. Going on to number 9, I'm going a lot further back in history than even Brood Christian.
Ooh.
Dusty Rhodes, American Dream.
That is a pretty good song.
Yeah. Because it's just, I think that it has that thing of like that first kick in of like, and you immediately know who it is. And then he's just a comer.
Yeah, the beat, like...
And it really has that thing of like, because Dusty, I mean, especially like WWF Dusty, where he was a face the whole time. It has that whole face thing of like, this is just a guy that is just one of you. Like, this is, if Dusty Rhodes can be in this wrestling ring, you could be in this wrestling ring.
Exactly.
And it just is someone living the American dream. And that's gone so well that now his son, 20 years later, 30 years later, is still playing on American Dream with his own gimmick. Like, that's how strong this was. And I think the theme played a lot into that.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. It's one of those, it's one of the ones that I had to put on the cutting room floor because I really liked it, but I had 10 more I liked better.
That's fair enough. Okay, how about one of those 10 more?
Well, my number 9 is Christian.
Okay, is it just the top 10 Christian theme tunes?
No, it is not just
number
the
eight.
top 10 Christian
Number 8
tunes.
will be The Brood.
No.
Number 10 will be whatever he's doing in AEW.
No,
number 7, TNA.
But this one is the Just Close Your Eyes one. The like,
is that Hey, I got it.
But the first one, because he has 2 versions of that.
Oh, the other one goes like.
Well, no, one sung by a woman and one sung by a man.
Ah, okay.
So I like the female vocals better. The one when he first had that song.
I see. So at some point we're going to get to the one that I actually keep thinking of, or
no, I just kind of put them all together. But
fair enough.
I mean, it's the same song, same lyrics.
Yeah.
But just I like the original one better compared to the newer one because he had it before he went to TNA. He went to TNA, then he came back, and then he hit the same song. But it was done by a different artist.
Right.
And I prefer the one before he went to TNA. It's the same song.
Yes.
It's just preference. But
I get that. I mean, with WWE, there are so many that are just like, it's not quite what the one that you remember it being. Things like, I mean, Big Show, they changed it.
Stone Cold, The Rock. Yeah.
Even when you have kids, right? Like Natalia, who sort of has Bret Hart's theme, but
doesn't
have Bret Hart's theme.
Same with Flair.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Rick's, but not.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get back to the Christian countdown, my number 8 is again. I think this theme literally only works with this wrestler. I think with this wrestler, and especially when he got good, because this guy spent like 10, 15 years being a bad wrestler for WWE, and then he got this theme, and he started doing like the Hall of Pain and stuff like that. And when you just have that thing of like that guy going, oh yeah, somebody's gonna get there, and it's just fantastic. Like that Mark Henry theme tune, but it's a theme tune of a main eventer.
It totally is.
When he started main eventing and
plus
started
plus it's 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah. So when he started like just hurting people and putting people in like hospital and whatever else, like that theme was something like, yeah, it's right. It's not longer like somebody's gonna give birth to a hand. It's like someone actually is gonna get their neck broke.
Or
like
sexual chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's like when Mark Henry had the somebody's gonna get it theme, that's when it's like that gave him like his extra push.
Yeah.
Like, because when you hear that song just hit up, it's just it's so good.
Yeah, I think
it's so good.
Yeah. Okay, number 8.
Number 8. Number 8 is, and this is
Christian.
No, Christian Cage. from TNA. No, it's not Christian Cage for TNA. There's only 2 Christian songs. Don't worry.
Right.
No, Cult of Personality.
Oh, CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Right.
I just really love that song.
Yeah.
And when he came back after the whole you got fired and left WWE storyline, which he should have stayed gone longer to build suspense. That's another video. When he came back with that song, it's just something about it that intro guitar riff.
Yeah.
And then when he came back for AEW, and it was the worst kept secret in wrestling that he was going to come back at the United Center at that first Rampage. And when that guitar riff and the roof just blew off the place, it's one of those things that just gives you chills. I get like that endorphin rush of yes.
Yeah, I understand that. The reason why it was nowhere near my list actually is not because of the song. I feel like you get excited by the song because you know it's CM Punk. I don't think that the song feels like it's CM. It don't feel like the song is heralding CM Punk. It's because you know this is CM Punk's song.
Well, so on that though,
yeah,
that song was originally on GTA San Andreas, and this was before CM Punk was big in WWE because he was when San Andreas came out, he was still in Ring of Honor using AFI. And this was 8 years before he started using Cult of Personality.
Right.
And Cult of Personality is just a song I really liked. It was on.
Yeah.
It was on San Andreas, and so when he came back, with Cult of Personality, I'm like, okay, one of my favorite wrestlers now has one of my favorite songs. That's just
no, I get that. It's just it's the same reason that you won't see Rise of the Valkyries Daniel Bryan on here for me. It's the same thing of fantastic piece of music and Daniel Bryan, fantastic wrestler. But I feel like you're just putting 2 great things together and you're liking them because it's a good thing and a good thing together, not because there's anything about Daniel Bryan that screams Rise of the Valkyries, especially when they first introduced that. And he was just this. I know he was great in independent, but as far as WWE was concerned, he was this guy that had just come out of the Nexus, was still pretty much a jobber. And they were like, "Oh, we're going to give you the best piece of classical music ever, and make you feel like a big thing." When but you're not a big thing. You're a big thing in a small pond before, but you've not proved yourself in a big company yet, and you now have one of the biggest, most bombastic. Luckily, as years went by, he absolutely proved himself worthy of the theme tune he was given.
Right.
But at that time, it was this is. And I feel a little bit with CM Punk. It's it's
the difference is when CM Punk did that thing.
Yeah.
When he came back with that music, he was the hottest actor in pro wrestling.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So my logic is I just really like the song.
Yep.
And when he came back as the hottest thing in pro wrestling, the most talked about thing in pro wrestling, because I was actually in the midst of a pro wrestling break at that time, and then I saw news about this, and I'm like, oh, CM Punk left, and then he had a clip at Comic-Con where he was harassing Triple H, and then he came back that at that Raw with that music, and it was just oh, okay, it kind of I popped hard.
That's I don't discredit it being there. Just the way I was doing the criteria, things like that were never making my list just because of how I was doing the criteria. I break my own rules about 4 times.
Right. Well, I said, I base mine off what gives me that endorphin rush.
And I think that's perfectly fair. Okay, number 7 for me is Asuka. I think that she is. It helps. She's a fantastic wrestler, but I think that absolutely suits her gimmick when she's coming out with the dance and the kabuki mask and everything. It's just all of it. The whole package of the entrance feels like you can't. Going back to some of these other things, looking at Bobby Roode, looking at CM Punk, Christian. If you could give those themes to somebody else.
Yeah.
And if you pick the right person, you could give those themes to someone else could run with those themes.
Right.
Asuka, you can't give Asuka's theme to Liv Morgan. No. You can't give Asuka's theme to Becky Lynch.
Well, plus that intro that wow, before it starts is oh shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely Asuka. It needs someone that does the whole aesthetic that she brings to her entrance and her style. Mm-hmm. So that's why she's number 7 for me.
That's really nice.
Okay,
my number 7, Asuka.
Okay, I don't know a lot about this entrance. Can you tell me that?
I believe it's one of those entrances that you can't give it to anyone else. It only works for that one character, and she just does it so well. It would be like giving Bobby Roode's entrance to Liv Morgan. It just wouldn't work.
Wiser words have never been spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good thing. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often. Otherwise, this gets.
This gets like. So, why do you like this song?
Yes.
I like it because he's an X.
Yes. The next one,
Mm-hmm.
I feel there's a chance that you might have this at 6. There's a chance you might have this at 2. There's a chance that this is one of the first ones that you scrubbed out because it's one of the most iconic theme tunes in all of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's one where it doesn't necessarily mean that I think the wrestler is fantastic or a top 6 wrestler, even though they are arguably the biggest wrestler of all time, depending on how you want to gauge that particular argument. Real American Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Because absolutely that is that thing of like, even now, when Hulk Hogan has not had a wrestling match in 10 years, has not had a wrestling match that's worth a damn in close to 20 years, and still, if you have a crowd full of 5-year-olds and that it's going to pop. Even when people don't like him. Even when people don't like him, people think he's a racist, or people think that he ruined certain promotions, or he only cares about himself. All of those things, still, when that theme hits, for a brief moment, you forget that you hate all those things.
No, I can never see that.
Like, it's one of those things, like, you hit that thing, it's like, I love this theme, this is wrestling. Like, it comes out as that thing. I mean, another one that's not on my list that has a similar thing in that respect that might be on your list is John Cena's. That, like, again, like, do you remember when he was gone for so long? And then, like, it was at the Rumble where his theme hit. And for about a few seconds, everyone forgot they hated John Cena.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, this theme is hit, we are ready to... Yeah. And that would happen. Like, if number 30 in the Royal Rumble next year, Hulk Hogan's theme tune played, the place would explode. It would explode. And then
5 seconds.
And then 5 seconds later, people would be like...
Why the hell is Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, this is... Yes. But for a brief second, that's why the theme is so good. Because that theme supersedes even the character of Hulk Hogan.
I can agree with that. But it's just one of those iconic themes. It's just been used for so long. And I do like it. Like, I think I have the metal version in my gym playlist. So, but that one was one of the... It was in, like, my top 30. So that was one of the easier ones to cut.
Right. That's fair enough.
Like, for me. Because, like, when I came into... when I started watching pro wrestling, it was like WCW, and I don't think Hulk Hogan had, because
he would have Voodoo Child, right?
He would have had Voodoo Child, and like when I started like actually like watching and paying attention to wrestling, because where I grew up it was WCW,
right?
So when I started watching wrestling was right about the time that New World Order formed,
right?
So that's when they got the the music coming out. So I missed a lot of the Real American. So it doesn't get that like big nostalgia pop for me.
Okay, that's fair enough. So what do you have at number 6?
My number 6 is Bryan Danielson.
Bryan Danielson. So I'm assuming this is the AEW theme or the Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor Final Countdown.
Right. Okay. So I'm already going to give you the exact same spiel that I gave for CM Punk.
Right.
So
right.
Why?
So this is when I started watching wrestling, or not when I started watching wrestling, but like I had been watching wrestling. And it was after the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era. I was getting burnt out on WWE. So that's when I started watching Ring of Honor. Like, luckily there was a channel where I was living where we could actually watch Ring of Honor because it was really hard to find. But that's where I saw guys like Tyler Black, CM Punk, and Bryan Danielson. And one of the first matches I saw was a Bryan Danielson match where he just comes out and it's just like da 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 dun, and like, okay, this guy's a big deal. Like, I popped for it because like I saw him come out, he did his presentation and then he wrestled, and I saw this guy wrestle, and I'm like, this guy's really good. Like, he's a fantastic wrestler, and that's kind of the point in time where I became a Bryan Danielson mark.
That's and I think that's fair. Like I say, just the way I was doing my criteria, it's the same sort of thing of like, you've got a very good wrestler, you've put a fantastic song on them. Like, it's, I don't know, it'd be like if someone put like, I don't know, if someone came out to Billie Jean, whatever else, like, it would just be like, wow, that's one of my favourite themes ever because it's Billie Jean. It's Michael Jackson. Like, if you had someone like, I don't know, like Sami Zayn or something coming out to Billie Jean and doing like some sort of, if he could moonwalk, for example, then it'd be fantastic. But I wouldn't consider it a top 10 theme because you've just found a song and a really good wrestler and put them together.
Well, it's also, when I pick my criteria for the songs, I part of having a song is getting that response from the crowd.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that it was like a little like studio show for Ring of Honor. Bryan Danielson came out, and then they all just started like chanting and clapping to, the final countdown. I'm like, okay, that's getting that like endorphin rush to the crowd and getting them involved and getting them involved in this guy.
And I can fully understand that. Right, speaking of endorphin rush to the crowd in the first few seconds of a theme, there's an argument that this is the absolute top of that. There are at least two that in my head would be like, I counted that already myself. Yeah. One that's not on my list and one that is on my list. But I think when you have a situation and you hear If You Smell coming out, like that just, again, something that's going to raise a roof because everyone knows who it is. And that's why it's not like number one for me because it's a case of like, it's The Rock, right?
Right.
If it was going to be something like, if someone came out and was like, if you smell what Ricochet is cooking, it's not going to have quite the same effect, right? It's but the fact that it is The Rock is full of that charisma, full of this, that like, even though when you actually listen to most of the theme after that line, it's just a very bog standard, like cyclical song that you can just, it's one of those songs you could play for 14 minutes and not realize that you're on the fifth run through.
Exactly.
But it's so well done. It's such a good surprise entrance, such a good surprise return theme that I had to put it on. I had to put it this high.
No, I like it.
Good job.
Yeah, it's good. All right, so we are on number 5. Mine is Rob Van Dam, One of a Kind.
Okay. That... It's weird. That actually really is. I'm sure that's WWE and not ECW.
It's WWE.
Right.
Because, and I don't know the story behind this song, because when he first came to WWE, he just had like that just generic.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know if Breaking Point actually wrote the song to that theme, or that theme just happened to match, and they bought the license to it. I don't know how the story goes. I didn't look it up before we started shooting. But just that way that song starts, like that, like, wow, like I don't know if it's like a guitar, I don't know what it is, but it just hits, and it's just something about the way it sounds and RVD's character. I think it just fits. It's just one of those songs that's like, you hear that, one of a kind, and RVD is one of a kind. He's an amazing athlete, or was.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he still probably is, he just can't see anymore, right?
Oh, no, he can't remember anything.
Right. That's almost like just consistently being hit on the head doesn't do you any favours long term.
Yeah, who would have thunk?
I don't know. It's the revelations of the 21st century. Bang to head, make head not think good.
No, but again, like a lot of my songs are based off of like what gives me that like endorphin rush, like what has that like nostalgia pop for me. Like I hear it and I'm just like, it just takes me back.
I can understand. I mean, I feel like for a lot of these, like you sort of almost like I'd almost quite like the Royal Rumble test. That like if number 22 if the buzzer for 22 goes off and you hear a few seconds of something,
well, you hear that first couple seconds of the RVD song, that wow, you're like, it kind of has like that. It sounds like a stoner song at the beginning. That wow, which RVD is very famous stoner. So
and it is that thing because there are some themes like there's some which. I worry because I worry that I might say something that you have, but like something like Brock Lesnar, where it's like an iconic wrestler with an iconic opening few seconds, but at the same time, it's like the rest of it doesn't really feel much to me, and almost in a sense of like I'm like, is that Kevin Owens? No, it's Brock Lesnar, and
that's why I like RVD's song because it starts off low, like that wow, boom, one of a kind, da-na-na-na, and it gets like really loud, and you can, you can chant to it.
And I get that. And obviously being excited. I think the other thing that makes that doesn't have that effect with something like Brock Lesnar is that every time I hear that little opening thing, it's usually followed by me going, oh no, what's he going to do? No.
Boy, number 30 in the Royal Rumble.
Which storyline is he destroying now?
I remember that moment. That moment well.
So number 4. This is my final new song. There's different elements of whether some of the others are still current wrestlers or not, but this is my final new song, and this is just because Like, all of my rules be damned. This is just a really cool piece of music. It just works really, really well. I feel like it does work well because of the wrestler it's with, but it is just something that I could listen to. Something where, like, if I heard this in a concert, I'd be like, this is a great concert song. If I heard this as a film soundtrack, this would be a great film score. Shinsuke Nakamura. Just that whole way it's done. The way that it can be done on live violin. I even like the way that it was able to be turned into a J-rap. Like, it wasn't as good as the non-vocal version, but just that way of, like... Because with a lot of these themes, I think there's a sense of these themes work really well for, like, Dusty Rhodes. That doesn't work if Dusty Rhodes turns heel. Right. Mark Henry, even though he did, doesn't quite work as well if it's face Mark Henry going, I just want to hug the children. Hey, kids, someone's going to get their ass beat. No, it's... whereas the Nakamura song just works because it's Shinsuke Nakamura.
Right, and I think they added onto it when Rick Boogs came out and started playing the guitar to it.
Yeah, the way you can mix it.
I mean, it just elevated it. And then
and just think like
Pat McAfee, every time that happened, would just hop up on the desk and start air guitar.
It makes him feel like a big deal. His debut in NXT, it made it feel like this is a big deal. When he debuted on Smackdown with the violinist, it felt like this is a big deal. It made you feel like,
well, at the time they were treating him like a big deal because he won the Royal Rumble after that.
Yeah, exactly. And it felt like that from the outset, like from the someone like LA Knight when he debuted in NXT. It was like, I can see why this guy's only been on Impact. He feels like a real sort of like big fish in small pond, and it took him a few months to really get over with me. Now I'm like, I see why people think LA Knight has something, because he is like a sort of mini rock type atmosphere, charisma to him. But like, he had a very basic theme, a very basic intro, and it was like, it's just another guy on NXT. Whereas Shinsuke and Bobby Roode before, it felt like they want to do something with this guy. This guy is special because they've given him a WrestleMania main event theme.
Well, and also I think that the Nakamura themes also chimes into audience involvement. Yeah. Because I mean, the first NXT show when he comes out and everyone says, like chanting to his theme song, and that's something that I think elevates a song. Yeah. Like if you go to concerts, people always like to sing along the songs. Yes. Like there's some guys who just play the guitar and let the audience sing, and I feel like that is one of the things that gets audience participation into the song kind of.
Yeah, and that's fantastic when it works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's, because that's something that's worked with Rollins recently, right? That suddenly there's now audience participation with his feed. Yeah. And it suddenly feels like, wow, Rollins is even more over than he was before. Okay, number 4.
Number 4. I'm staying with Japan, a fellow Japanese wrestlers, Io Shirai, Tokyo Shock.
Okay, that's the... is that Poppy?
That's not Poppy. That's like the techno one.
Right, okay. The one where... the one that should come with an epilepsy warning. Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. Where she's having an epileptic fit as she comes to the... Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic thing.
No, I agree. And I think it fits her character well, especially because she came out with that song right after she did her heel turn. Yeah. And I just thought it was fantastic.
I agree. To be honest, I think that for whatever reason, WWE nails the theme tunes for their Japanese wrestlers. And it's not even because they feel Japanese. Like, Nakamura's feels Japanese. But, like, Io Shirai's doesn't feel like it's a Japanese wrestler.
Asuka's kind of.
It kind of. Like, but I think it's because of the mystique. But
maybe.
Kairi Sane's was more like just, I'm a fun little pirate. Yippee-ki-yay. And just...
I'm so happy she's back in Stardom.
But
you can see Kairi Sane again. Pirate Princess Kairi Sane. I'm getting off topic,
but they really nailed the Japanese theme.
No, they really did.
Yeah.
Even Hito Itami, Kenta, when he came into because he was like Triple H's first big Japanese signing from New Japan. Yeah. Even his theme, which was really, really Japanese sounding. But it was a banger. It was a freaking amazing song.
Yeah. No, it always makes me feel like, wow, the Japanese promotions must be really good at making entrance themes. You realize, no, WWE have made all of these from scratch.
Well, CFO made them, because I think that was what, 8 years ago? 9 years
that would have been, because it would have been post Jim Johnston and pre...
Right. Wow. And that was when CFO was starting to take over, and CFO, $, made some bangers of theme songs.
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely. Okay, so my number 3. After all the shtick I gave you about including like pre-existing music that you just put with a wrestler. But for this one, even though there's nothing super special about music, it's just a piece of classical music or that's just put with a wrestler. But I think the pomp and circumstance, the way that it just, the little bit that they put before they go into the music, the way that they just make it feel like this is a big deal that's about to come out, and the way that Randy Savage also dressed in a way where like only someone that dresses like the Macho Man can come out to what in my ears is Land of Hope and Glory, to your ears is the Graduation Song, and make it feel like, wow, this is something special. Like this is like the creme de la creme of wrestling is out right here.
I understand that. I think that's kind of how I made my entire list was what gave me that feeling.
Yeah, and again, it works face and heel somehow.
Yeah, because like his face, it can.
It's like I am one of the people. I am your people's
like,
champion.
I'm I'm going to overcome the odds.
Yeah, and when it's heel, it's like I am better than all of you.
Exactly.
Bow down.
It's super versatile.
Yeah,
it's super great, and Savage was great at making his character just seem over the top, and like Sam, that was a great time. Yeah, no, because it's and I feel like that only works with Savage, right? That like when I do some ring announcing commentary, so Jay Lethal did all right with it.
True, but that was because he was being
that's because he was being Randy Savage, Black Machismo.
And when I had to think about like with the wrestling promotion that I work with, like, do I need an entrance theme for certain situations? I was like, because I'm British, let's play up to something. And like the two obvious things is Land of Hope and Glory, or the Graduation Song to You, or Rule Britannia. And those have both been used by big wrestlers. But in my head, it's like, well, I can't touch Land of Hope and Glory. That's Macho Man. There's nothing you do about it. Whereas Rule Britannia, even though the British Bulldog is, if the Macho Man is here, the British Bulldog is here as a wrestler, as a personality. It's like, no, I can make a cheap, like bad sounding version, like a parody version of Rule Britannia, and it just feels like I'm doing my own thing. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to be fake British Bulldog.
Right.
So, and that's a big difference. Like Land of Hope and Glory, the Graduation Song, it just is Macho Man. Like, I feel like that just is him at this point.
No, I definitely understand that. Yeah. I feel the same way.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3. My number 3 is Battle Cry for Kenny Omega.
Okay, is this AEW?
The AEW.
Right, okay.
Yeah, this is an AEW thing.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for like slow builds. Right. And that song, like, there's like 2 versions of it. There's the pay-per-view version of it, and then there's the TV version of it. The pay-per-view version of it has like a 30-second intro. And just the slow build for that, just like it starts slow and then gets more intense and faster and faster and faster and faster until it gets to the top, and it just gets really fast. And plus it's video game metal, and I have a really big weakness for video game metal.
I can understand that. Like, I mean, there's another one that is not on my list that feels like a video game type thing. The Roman Reigns theme tune that we have now, that sort of feels like end boss,
a final boss fight.
Bit. Yeah. And I get that. And Kenny Omega certainly has. I have my opinions on Kenny Omega.
I know.
We're not going to go into them here, but he certainly knows how to present himself.
Yes,
he certainly knows how to present himself as what he.
I think he does. Being
as.
Like, it's been like what 6 years. He's been top 5 Pro Wrestling Insider Wrestlers of the Year. For their ranking system, he's been top 5. Like,
look,
last 6,
we're not
7
here
years.
to discuss the inaccuracies of Pro Wrestling Insider. Okay, so it's but no, I get that. Like, he definitely knows his, and that's the thing, that you can recognize how good an intro is, or how good I have Hulk Hogan on here.
Right.
If I was doing favorite wrestlers or best wrestlers, Hulk Hogan wouldn't be in my 200-page book of wrestlers. But if a theme is a great theme, and it brings that idea of, I know who this is, I know what this is, I know what's coming, then that is fantastic. That's
what it does for me. It pops for me.
Okay. Number 2. And, oh God, my number 1, number 2, I flipped and turned. I had them in different places. And if I was trying to be objective about this, I think that this would be my number 1. But the subjective side of me would not let my number 1 be number 2.
Right.
So my number 2 is, and again, it's a theme that has been going since the early 90s, maybe early 90s. It's a theme that, for whatever reason, works as face and heel. It's one of the few examples of someone singing their own theme, for the most part. And I just feel that thing when you get that, I think I'm cute. I know. Even though he's not cute or sexy for the past 15, 20 years.
Good old Michael Hickenbottom.
Yeah. HBK, Heartbreak Shawn Michaels. It just is everything in a theme. Like, it was just...
No, it's...
Like, and it was not just that the theme matches him. The theme matches the entrance.
Yes.
That, like, the way he comes out, the way he does everything he does, from going to the ring, getting in the ring, doing the whole groin strain pose and stuff. Like, and it worked. It worked if he's like I'm just a cocky face that just knows how good he is, but I'm a good guy, really. When he's got Sensational Sherry going around him, when he's just himself. It just works in every iteration of Shawn Michaels. Like, it's never had to be changed.
Right? No, I agree. Like, it's been there since the early '90s. Just that dun 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 dun
yeah,
and it just goes from there.
Exactly. Like, even William Shatner pulls it off.
He does.
It's but you know, a lot of these I think are personal choice, personal ideas. But I would say, don't worry about that. That's just the building falling apart. But I think HBK is the one. If it's not in your top 10 list, that for me is the one objective you have made a mistake. Not a subjective you have made a mistake.
Right.
In my opinion.
Well,
so you've got two entries to tell me the words Shawn Michaels.
Well, I have 2 words for you coming out. Baron Corbin. Number 2. I Bring the Darkness.
Okay.
That's like the one he had when he debuted on the main roster.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
you know, I
know Baron Corbin gets a lot of flag.
You tell me your thing, because I have opinions on Baron Corbin.
I think for what he does, he's fantastic. He's great in the ring. He plays his character well, even though sometimes his character gets the bad kind of heat. But his theme song, though, when it came out, it was that like low, like especially when he was Baron Corbin, it was like that low, gritty kind of like motorcycle rock kind of song.
Yeah. Is that the one where there's a singer that comes in as well, right? There's
like I bring the darkness.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Like, it's not Nickelback, but...
No, it's not
kind
Nickelback.
Of could be...
It's not... No, because you can actually understand the voice.
Yeah.
If it was Nickelback, it would just be like...
Yeah. But it's that kind of singing that Nickelback does.
Yeah, I guess.
The guttural...
Yeah, the guttural singing. But it's just something about that. When he was coming after that, because I don't like the Happy Corbin music.
Right.
It's freaking atrocious.
It's almost like that's the idea. But anyway, yeah.
But even though when he was King Corbin, when they tried to do that remix of I Bring the Darkness and like the royal music, that was horrible. Like, it's one of those things that, like, you know, just putting 2 songs together doesn't really work every time. Because I think Arcade Bros works pretty well. But that's...
Yeah, but a lot of the time it doesn't. Yeah, that one...
But that's they did one that was like Asuka and Kairi Sane's music together. And it was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. But the I Bring the Darkness song by itself, I thought it just fit the character as like, I don't give a shit about anything. I'm just here to kick your ass or get my ass kicked. Trying to kick your ass.
But Baron Corbin is a wrestler where every single aspect of what he does is A+. Like, he has one of the best finishers of the 21st century. He will play any role that you ask him to play to perfection, to the point that people get shoot angry at his heel work. Not because of some level of X-Pac heat of you're doing this so badly we don't like it, but like you're doing
his job so well
that we don't like you.
That we don't like you.
Like, it gets to the point where like people genuinely blamed him for Raw being bad because of his decisions and stuff, because he was the general manager.
Right.
And it's like, no, it's not.
He's just doing what the script says, but
he's
so good at his job.
He has a fantastic moveset. He has a fantastic entrance. Like, and just a bit of like, and despite all of that, he almost turned face. Like, I feel like they had to pull the plug on homeless Corbin faster than they wanted to, because he was getting too over.
I think he was.
Like, they were like, oh my god, people are starting to cheer Baron Corbin. We need to do this final part of this.
He was Sad Corbin.
Yes.
I love that he's always Corbin. He just changes his name.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin, King Corbin, Sad Corbin, now he's Happy Corbin.
Yeah.
If he goes to Dallas, he's Corbin Dallas.
Yeah. To be fair, in a world where if he was any other wrestler, he'd just be Corbin. at this point.
Right.
So.
Oh no! I definitely happy he's kept his last name.
Yeah, that's an interesting number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
I mean, I have honorable mentions. 2 honorable mentions. Like that's how many there are. Like people like Finn Balor, Chris Jericho. Don't even make my honorable mentions, even though like they are fantastic. But okay, honorable mentions. I've got Carlito. I spit in the face of people that don't want to be cool. Like that is just
people don't want to be cool,
and it feels like it's his theme.
Yeah, no.
Sasha Banks.
Ooh.
Same deal.
Might not have that theme anymore.
The pre-Snoop Dogg version, like I preferred as well.
Oh, like
the real like it's boss time, like the
it's boss time. Sorry, Uncle Cole came out.
And Batista. Again, that's another one where it's like those opening few lines are excellent, and then it doesn't quite go anywhere from there for me. But like, not to make it top 10. Great theme, but not to make it top 10. Same as the Irish guy talk about how he has too many lines. I love the first couple of lines of that, but then it falls apart.
Right.
Those are my official honorable mentions. I want to mention 2 that are in my. I tried
honorable mentions.
Yeah, as in I tried listening to some New Japan themes, and was like, wow, these are really good themes, but I don't think of them as wrestling themes. Okada. Even though the coin drop thing does have that sense of, oh, if he was in WWE and you heard a coin drop at the Royal Rumble, you would know, oh, I know exactly who that is.
Oh my god, it's Okada.
But it's just a really cool piece of theme music. And there was a guy, and because I don't really watch New Japan, so I don't know who this guy is, but I just happened to come across his theme, and it's one of the best pieces of, this is a really cool piece of music I've ever heard. It's a guy called Haruki Goto, and his theme is just fantastic. It's the sort of thing that, like, if I was making a creator wrestler, I'd be like, I'm going to make him come out to this music and dance like Naomi. Like, I just want this sort of stuff. Do you know the guy?
I do not know the guy.
Okay, when we turn this off,
I don't watch a lot of New Japan.
No, when we turn this off, I'll play you the theme, and you'll agree. It's a fact. If anyone here watches New Japan, I'm sure I've probably named like the 3rd or 4th biggest star in all of Japanese wrestling, and it sounds terrible that I'm just saying some guy called Haruki Goto. But the theme is fantastic. But because I don't have any visceral connection to the wrestler, I can't put it in the list. Maybe if I watched New Japan religiously, this guy would be like number 3.
I don't know. We're in the same time zone.
Yeah, true.
Okay, my honorable mentions. So, again, just because he couldn't make the top 10, Nakamura's theme song, which we talked about. Another one, the Roman Reigns theme song, that new one. It almost made the top 10, but it just hasn't been around long enough for me to put it in the top 10.
Right.
But I feel it's going to go down as like one of the best theme songs for a character, because it's impactful and just...
Yeah,
I know. I listened to it. And kind of like after the initial part, it just kind of repeats over and over again. But it just works.
Yeah,
it just works.
Like
I don't
agree.
I don't know what else to say about it. It just works for the character, and it's perfect. And then, my honorable mention. The last one is kind of a silly one, just because I just
is this the one that I was thinking might be your actual number 1?
No, Jeff Jarrett.
Okay,
TNA Jeff Jarrett.
Okay,
there's just something about it, because. Again, this was like when I was going through like a WWE phase. I was watching TNA, and if you watch TNA when they had the NWA Championship, you know that when you hear that, Slapnuts is getting ready to come out and hit somebody with a guitar.
Right.
And there's something about that, it triggers that reaction whenever I hear that. You're just like, oh, fucking Slapnuts.
No, it is. It's like. And that's the thing. There are so many themes that, like, because I know what my number 1 is. I'm not going to mention my number 1. There's a chance I'm about to mention your number 1, but if I haven't, these are all things that haven't made anyone's honorable mentions. Things like Stone Cold, Triple H, Goldberg, like these just huge, huge themes by huge, huge wrestlers that are fantastic. But just one of those might be your number 1. But there's just so much to choose from, and therefore it comes down to so much subjectivity of like what kind of music do I like? Possibly, do I like the wrestler? The fact that every time I hear Goldberg's theme, it's like some good wrestler is about to put over someone that shouldn't be being put over anymore.
Well, see, and that's why, for Jeff Jarrett, it was almost in my top 10.
Yeah.
Almost, I think I almost had it at, like, number 3, but then I, reevaluated it. But it's just, like, Jeff Jarrett, was a bad guy wrestler, and I'm not particularly fond of Jeff Jarrett.
So...
It's just one of those songs that when it hit, was like...
You knew what was happening.
I know what's happening. I know what's going on. It triggers something in me, and it's just like,
that's Perfectly fair.
I hate Jeff Jarrett. Because it was just his character.
Yeah.
I hated his character. I hate Jeff Jarrett, but when that song came out, it was just something about the song that was just like, oh, this works so well for his character, just coming out just like that, like annoying, like this is my TNA was his promotion at the time. He's like, this is my promotion. I have a guitar. I'm gonna hit you over the head with it and walk away with this championship.
Fair enough. Right. Let's play again. Do you want to guess my number one? I think you can, but
No, let me hear it.
you can't.
No,
No idea.
No,
Wow.
drawing a blank.
Okay.
I'm really tired.
Okay, fair enough. I think for me, this is the ultimate 3 seconds of something that makes you realize a guy is coming
Edge.
out. Yeah, Edge. Yeah.
As soon as you said that.
It's just the ultimate. You think you know me? That, like, again, it breaks all the rules. That this was
well,
a Metalingus song years before Edge existed, right?
Well, no,
And
the You Think You Know Me has been part of his gimmick since, like, when he had, like, You Think You Know Me, when he was, like, a Blade-inspired vampire character, like, after the Brood.
And for me, it's just like, I think nothing shows how powerful that intro music is than his Royal Rumble return.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know he's Edge. I know it was always going to be huge, but the fact that, like, before you even saw him, before anything, just like 1 second after the buzzer went, 20,000 people go insane.
Even before, like, the guitar hit in. Like,
Yeah.
Because, the Alter Bridge is like, You Think You Know Me.
Yeah.
Like, even before, like, the guitar kicked in, it was, the audience was louder than the guitar.
Yeah, because we watched that together, and we
we
both
popped.
were like, it was
popped.
like 5 o'clock in the morning in Korea, and we probably annoyed every neighbor that we had, because it was just
we were, like, standing, just like, yes!
Yeah, it's just, for me, it's just the most amazing... now because of who he is, he's had to change the theme. Because he's such a Hall of Famer, wonderful story, it has a face feel to it because of who it is.
Mm-hmm.
But in the day when he was doing his main runs, again, it worked face and heel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just worked all the time.
His new theme is good, though.
I think his new theme is good. And I understand, even though it's my favourite theme of all time, I understand why you don't want to have the whole crowd just be like, yeah, like imagine a Royal Rumble and you think, everyone's going to cheer.
Yeah.
For the second biggest heel in WWE right now. You don't want that to happen.
Right.
So you have to change it to something to make it more amenable to being a heel reaction.
Right.
So that's my number one. Can I have a guess at yours?
Sure.
Right. I'm going to make 2 guesses.
Okay.
I'm going to make the guess of if you're not doing what I think you're doing, and my guess if you are doing what I think you're doing. So if you're not doing what I think you're doing, and I think you're just trying to pick like your all-time favorite theme that got a reaction out of you, again, you saying you're a WCW guy, I'm thinking NWO theme. Mm-hmm. If you are not doing that and you're going for like this theme just for whatever reason just made me always laugh and always smile, and I just have a overly heightened sense of how much I like this person because of this theme, and because you haven't mentioned him at all, it's Fandango.
Wrong on both accounts.
Well, Fandango's not there at all.
Fandango was on my honorable mentions, but
because Fandango is everything you've been saying. Audience appreciation, like...
Right. It follows all the rules, but like you, I'm breaking all of my rules.
Right.
And my number one is going with the just song that I think hits me the hardest, and that is Batista.
Okay.
Just because, for different points, because you said, you don't really listen to that song, because you said it drops down after the first inch, like, it drops down. No. That's just the beginning. That's like the precipice. It goes way higher. Like, because I've seen it, like, I've seen that entrance live.
Right.
And seeing that entrance live, of him standing up there on the stage, firing machine guns.
Yes.
While Saliva's going, yeah! It's just...
Yeah. Oh, it's a pyro entrance, right? If, like, in the non-pyro era of WWE.
Yeah, this was like, back when he was doing his first world title run, when he just got that song. Or one of his first title runs, when he just got that song. And it was just like, oh, this is so fucking great. Like, 14-year-old me is just watching this going, this is the best song ever.
Yeah. It's, obviously it is. It has that great feel to it. It's a great song that, like I say, for me, it wasn't top 10 worthy because of what I said, even though it was almost there.
Right.
But let's think about this, right? There's people that, like, we haven't mentioned Bret Hart, we haven't mentioned D-Generation X, we haven't mentioned so many great theme songs.
I'm surprised you didn't call me out for not putting Stone Cold on there.
Because when I was talking about all the other ones where I said
you're talking about like the first 3 seconds of a song that's just like can trigger an audience response. That glass breaking, I think can even trump Edge's.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. The reason why when I was talking about things and I mentioned people like Batista is because I didn't want to use that argument mentioning Stone Cold in case you were about to bring up Stone Cold later.
Yeah.
It turns out that by mentioning Batista instead of Stone Cold, I have done exactly what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, gotcha.
But no, because Stone Cold for me, it's a good theme. It's a really good theme.
Right,
but Stone Cold's theme is those first few seconds.
Right, and you missed out you missed out on Stone Cold, because
that was my period.
You were not watching wrestling during that time,
and it was a guy just coming out to a modified Razor Ramon entrance.
How was my part of that?
His
entrance wasn't just the glass breaking; it was him walking out and then walking down like, all right, I'm gonna go kick a mud hole in someone's ass, and then getting to the stage and then giving everything the finger.
But I feel like all of that is in spite of what happens to his theme after the glass breaks. Mm-hmm. So that's why Stone Cold doesn't make my list.
Fair enough.
But obviously, the thing about wrestling is that it is completely subjective. Apart from Edge and Shawn Michaels being the two best themes of all time, that's objective.
That's the best.
Don't listen to the subjective marks over here. The objective.
I'll walk for miles into a pit of danger,
and then tear a couple of quads, right?
That's Kevin Nash.
True.
And Vince McMahon.
Yes. Oh no, that was the phrase, wasn't it? That Batista can walk for miles across a pit of danger, Kevin Nash can't walk across a ring without tearing a quad. Yes. Anyway, that's been our quiet you. I've got to do the extra minute. Okay. Yeah. Look, professional. Yes. Okay, so that's been our top 10 list. Let me know what you think, because obviously there's been so much stuff we have missed out. Clearly, everything from Japan, for a start. Half of WCW as well, by the looks of it. So let us know what you do. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and if you do, feel free to comment. Tell us what you think was right or wrong about what he said, and what was right about what I said. And we'll see you again soon. Have a great day, and thank you for watching. Bye.
잘 등장되는 내 초원이 돼 난 너의 꿈속에 Freddy 꿈 깨는 게 소원이 돼 Click clack and bang bang 난 사랑하듯이 랩해 내 목표 설정이냐 난 내 가요계 전부 대패 이 랩 게임 식사는 차차로 개뻥이야 난 freshman 난 freshman 군대 형님들께 respect 졸업장으로 대신해 내 공부는 김보성 형보다 더 의리의리해 내 크루들 무리무리해서 덤벼봤자 무리네 안 맞춰라 다들 좋지 너희들에게는 사치지 아무리 머리를 써봤자 너희는 김일 계속 박치지 웃기지 쌈이 없이 너 멋지지 I'm sick man 내 직업병 이건 붙이지 나 이기고 싶다면 또 다른 날또 만나고 그날도 바로 나 이건 나만의 잠이 내 나는 내 앞에만 서면 다 도망은 가 Welcome to 정글 손들은 사실 나이가 난 이 목들 JM 8마리 타자 제인이 되고 싶다면 come to us 우린 그날 우린 땅의 키스 Welcome to the jungle, man. Swings up sway, Lion Kings. 두 마리 하이에나나 World Rumble해. 이기지만 강한 놈 내 새로운 변화는 문병만. 신의 개척 후 나를 세우고 원주민들과 춤춰. 신나는 농가, 신은 어두운 황야. 킹콩 누가나 아프다를 보면 우리나라. 그런 정맨 삶 생존한 연구해. 틱타임 갖고 난내 무대 위에 떨어져도 해서 그런 고국해. All back in the day, 너를 발견한 난 quicksand. 가부는 집중 밑에 내가 좋아하는 컬러 좋고 픽색. 난 사냥하는 사냥꾼을 사냥 취급하는 사냥꾼. 쑥해서 날고 길을 돌아가네. 그래 넌 뭘 좋아하는 걸. 난 상관없아 뭔가 목소리가 증명해. 밤에 내 집 앞에서 누군가 흐르렁대. 세상은 그런 것 겨울은 춥고 여름은 덥지. Welcome to the jungle 배워라 정글의 법.